What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So these past few seasons have been pretty amazing when it comes to weapon balance, as weird as that sounds, right? But yeah, over the past few seasons we've been getting a lot of improvements for weapons that have been, in dire need, such as the AK-117, AK-47, Man of War, GKS, Peacekeeper, what else? The AMAX. There has been a lot of weapons that have been given well-deserved changes. But as of right now, there are still some out there that are in dire need. Ones that really have almost never been changed. And even if they are, they're not really that noticeable. So while there are a lot of weapons that have improved over these past seasons, there are some that still need to be changed in order to keep up with the others. Keep in mind the numbers, or I guess the 5 weapons that I have today are not in any particular order. They're just put at random based on how I align the videos. So yeah, keep that in mind. Every weapon equally needs a huge change. So the first one we are going to discuss is, of course, what you're seeing on the screen, the HVK-30. So this weapon did get a change a while back with increased range and better multipliers, at least when it comes to its normal rounds, but when it comes to its large caliber, there are some issues that still need to be fixed. So for the large caliber rounds first, yes, they did improve the range a little bit, but the multipliers more or less stayed the same. And by multipliers, I do mean that arm multipliers. So it's very common to hit a lot of people, in the arm when you're trying to kill them. And it sucks because the damage drop off between the body and the arms, it'll go from 30 to 24 immediately. I wouldn't have mind if the large caliber came with maybe 28 to 30 bullets, but the thing is that it only comes with 24, so you can't really afford to score a 5-shot kill, especially with a mag of this size. For the most part, the range is okay. I think the range is good. I think it's perfect where it should be, but if you're gonna have close range kills and have the arm still hit 24 damage, it's kind of, it feels wrong. It just doesn't feel right. However, the fundamental problem for the HVK is that you have to rely solely on the large caliber rounds. If you try to use the normal rounds, you're just gonna get destroyed no matter what. And I know they made some changes for the multipliers when it comes to its normal bullets, but even then, it's not even noticeable. It's kind of like how the M4 was when it first got its multiplier buffs. Back in the day when it had the same headshot damage as the body. Yeah, those were pretty dark times. But it's pretty much the same with this weapon. It's a very small hit area on the body where you could actually score a 4-shot kill. And that's only if you're in close range. You could probably do that in medium range as well, but you might need some sort of range extending attachment. I'm saying all this because keep in mind, we have assault rifles that have faster fire rates than this one, and they could consistently 4-shot like it's nothing. And you shouldn't have to rely on an attachment that has such low ammo in order for you to succeed with that. Of course, without it, you don't have to have the headshot up to 50, but you could at least get it to just have it become a 4-shot consistent weapon. And it doesn't have to be a 4-shot at 35 plus meters. It could be up to 20, 25 or something around that. But so long as you hit in the chest or something, but not up to the neck or the shoulders, because that's almost never gonna happen. The point is that we still need more options for this gun. I don't want to always rely on the large caliber to do the work. And keep in mind, 24 bullets, you're gonna run out pretty quickly. So now for the next weapon, I'm pretty sure some of you guys will agree with me. The Razorback definitely needs some changes. So much like the AGR, GKS, and other long-range type of SMGs, this is supposed to bridge a gap between an SMG and an assault rifle. But the thing is that it does such a shitty job at it. Due to the fact that it has a lot of weight, especially if you put anything on a monolithic suppressor or even an extended light barrel, this gun becomes very heavy, almost to the point where it can be heavier than a lot of assault rifles. The thing is that I wouldn't mind if the range was a little bit longer. I think the multipliers are fine, the damage is pretty good too, it goes up to 30, but once you reach down to its second range, it'll go down to 25 or 26, I believe, and then from there it just goes downhill. Above like I think 20 meters or more, that's when it starts to like really fail. And it's worse because this weapon has a lot of recoil. So for the most part, you're going to have to focus on stabilizing the gun, increasing the range, and all that stuff. And keep in mind, another problem is the extended mag. Well, I guess just the reload animation. Sometimes you see yourself put the mag in, but it just doesn't register, so you actually reload cancel by accident, and you end up losing out on that reload speed. So like, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have been caught up in that, right? Where you need to reload your Razorback, and for some reason it just doesn't successfully do it because it's so slow. Yeah, the reload speed does need to be increased as well. Don't get me wrong, it's very easy to control the recoil on this thing, but if you're gonna go for like mid-range shots, yeah, you're gonna have to be a little bit careful. I know the rapid fire attachment does help a little bit, but again, in medium to, I guess, longer ranges where this weapon is more capable, yeah, it still needs some work. If anything, since this is the heaviest SMG, this probably should have the longer range, but I don't know, for some reason they gave it to the GKS because, let's be honest, when they changed that weapon, it kind of felt like it was overkill because you could 4-shot from anywhere and it's crazy. But you can't do the same thing with this one, which is much heavier. If it isn't the heaviest SMG, I mean, it's still one of the heaviest. Yes, the GKS can be heavy if you try to max out the range, but the thing is that you don't have to because it's already so stable. With the Pharaoh, yeah, you can max out the range on that one too, but you still have to worry about the recoil. And yes, it'll be a little heavier, but it doesn't really matter. But even a small change will do. I mean, if you have to increase the reload speed only, I mean, I would be super happy with that because it definitely needs it. So now it's time to talk about one of the most underrated SMGs in this game. A lot of people consider this to be an underdog weapon, but you know, in my opinion, I still think it's shit. So the reason why I think it's shit is because, oh my god, the recoil and the ammo count is super low for a weapon that fires this fast. If I'm correct, I think the ammo capacity, or I guess the default ammo capacity for the MSFC is only 25 bullets. So yeah, that pretty much tells you everything that you need to know about its capacity. But probably the biggest issue is its recoil control, or the lack thereof. So it's really no surprise that the MSFC has had a lot of recoil problems. I'm pretty sure you guys remember how it was when it first came out. It was that thing jumped like a motherfucker. Of course, the gunsmith did help it a little bit, but before, SMGs were a lot heavier until they did like that whole overhaul thing around season 4 of last year. They made it a little faster, made it slightly stable, if you could even say that. But yeah, I mean, even with marksman barrels, all these grips, it still has a lot of recoil issues, both vertical and horizontal. As for the range, I think it's okay for the most part. Maybe a slight increase, I think, will help, but I'm not really sure. I think that'd be a little bit too dangerous because, like I said, this weapon has a very high fire rate. So if you're going to increase the capacity, the stability, and all that stuff, I don't know, it might be best to just keep the range the same. I'm not that sure. But if the recoil change is enough to make it just very stable, I don't really think you would have to increase the range, so long as you could actually land your shots and not have it jump all over the place. What you're seeing right now is me using a marksman barrel, operator grip, as well as rubberized and even the strike stock in order to just keep it stable. So yeah, you have to like decrease the speed of your gun a lot in order to stabilize the weapon. Its ammo capacity, like I said, could also use some work. You know, it starts with like 25 bullets, but maybe you could increase it to like 32. I don't know, at least for its default. But then for the extended mags, like the fast reloads, you could probably have it up to like over 30 or 40 because, dude, it runs out extremely fast. I think in Black Ops 2, where the weapon first came out, I think it started with 32. I'm not that sure, but yeah, it started with way more than what we have here. So now we move on to the kilo bolt action. So, okay, well, let's be honest. How often do you guys see a person use a kilo bolt action? It almost never happens. Back then, this was like the go-to marksman rifle. But, you know, there was actually a question within my Q&A that pertained to why I just disliked the weapon so much. And I said there, it's because it's the heaviest marksman rifle in the game, to the point where, you know, it's not really that viable, especially in close range combat where I guess like a lot of snipers, or I guess marksman mains or whatever, you know, need it the most. And plus, you know, the one-shot kill area is very restrictive. You have to shoot like in the upper chest in order to get one shot. So you're kind of forced to either use the thermite rounds or the stopping power to be consistent. This weapon was slowed down a ton back then. It used to be the best one. It had like a lot of speed. Like the stopping power reload was only like minus 3% ADS speed. It was a really solid marksman rifle. And even when the SPR first came out, it wasn't at its best. So I still had to use the kilo bolt action. But when the sniper nerf came by, or like, you know, the whole weapon overhaul came into the game, this one was hit the worst out of all the marksmans and the sniper rifles. Even when you put stopping power or even the, what do you call it, the thermite rounds, I believe, it makes the weapon much heavier. And keep in mind, this one marksman rifle does not have a light barrel, so you're kind of missing out on a lot of ADS speed already. And even if you don't use those two attachments, it is still pretty slow. I would say it's probably SPR fast if you don't have it on. Like if you have just like fast reload, it is decently fast, but again, it has like outlaw damage, so it's still kind of shit. At least when you don't use stopping power. When you use stopping power, it is pretty decent, but you're gonna have to be a little bit more careful when you run it. And even more careful with the thermite rounds because it takes even more ADS speed away from the gun. The one-shot kill area when you do have stopping power on is pretty generous. Like so long as you don't hit in the legs, you'll be fine. You can shoot in the arms, whatever. But so long as you just don't go below the stomach, it's gonna be fine. But the thing is that the MK2 has literally the like close to the same like one-shot kill potential, but it's not that slow. If anything, it's probably the fastest one-shot killing marksman rifle, with the exception of like the ADS movement speed. So the fact that you have to just rely on a singular attachment to get better one-shots does kind of suck, and it makes it slow. It's kind of like the J358 in some ways. Well, really, it's the exact same thing. Because think of like the MK2 as the Deagle, where you don't need like stopping power reload to get one-shot headshot. But like this weapon is like the J358, where you rely on stopping power to even get that one-shot headshot. So my best suggestion is to at least increase the ADS speed a little bit more. Also reduce the penalty. Well, if you don't want to increase the ADS for the weapon itself, at least decrease the penalty for the stopping power reload, because it's just way too much for a weapon like this. It makes it heavier than most of the sniper rifles with like all the light attachments on, so it's kind of sad. It's sad because marksman rifles are supposed to be lighter than sniper rifles, but it seems like the kilo is like the one exception to the rule. So now we move on to the final weapon, which is the M16. So let's be honest, this is probably the most neglected assault rifle ever in this game's history. Really, all you need is just one or two simple changes to make the gun decent. Keep in mind, this weapon has been neglected so much it doesn't even have a legendary yet. 3 years into this game and not one legendary for the M16. That's how neglected this weapon is. But like I said, two simple changes will make the weapon like just fairly decent. All you really have to do, and I know this is a huge issue for a lot of people, is the recoil. So it does have a mix of vertical and horizontal, which sometimes doesn't allow you to land all 3 shots on the person from like medium ranges. And it does kind of suck because, you know, that's the whole point of the burst weapon. You know, you're hoping to get that one burst kill, but you can't because the gun just jumps like a motherfucker. If we look at the Swordfish, even without its halberd mag, if you want to put like extended mag, it still has a decent amount of stability. But with the M16, it just doesn't. Accuracy's good, reload speed's alright, the ADS speed's okay, the range is good. I don't know if I mentioned that already. But yeah, it's overall pretty decent, but if you're just to remove a little bit, I mean even a small amount of horizontal recoil, this thing would land its shots way better. And in reality, that's all you need for the M16. That's all you have to do. I think if they were able to change both the recoil and the range at the same time, I think that would be a pretty bad idea because it'll kind of become like the M16 from like Modern Warfare Remastered. I'm pretty sure no one wants that. But yeah, the stability does need some improvements. The range could stay the same. I don't care. I mean, it's pretty good no matter what. But I get it though. It's kind of complicated to, you know, balance a burst weapon because if you go a little too far, it's going to be overpowered. If you do a little bit less, it's going to suck. So yeah, there's always a fine line when it comes to balancing burst weapons. But yeah, anyways, that's all the guns that I feel need to be changed for these next coming updates, as well as Season 6. But anyways, hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think down below, what other weapons need to be adjusted. I'm really interested in hearing that. So anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.